Hey everyone, I'm Diego and I'm one out of 3 triplet flames who are rainbow Starpeople, and welcome to this YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content like this. Today I'm going to be talking about two of the mental health diagnoses that I have been diagnosed with, and I'm going to walk through the DSM-5 criteria for each diagnosis so you can understand what are the requirements in order to get this kind of diagnosis. I'm not a mental health professional, however, if you ask my psychiatric nurse practitioner what my diagnoses are, she will confirm with you that these are my diagnoses. So when I was in high school, I believe, I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD, and then more recently, I've been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. So I'm going to go through the criteria for each one of these diagnoses so you understand better what the symptoms are for each diagnosis and how I was able to get that diagnosis officially. So let's look at ADHD first. Specifically inattentive ADHD, I have it on my iPad right here. So if we look at inattentive ADHD, to meet the criteria for ADHD inattentive type, a person must have 6 of the following 9 attentive traits. Number 1, often fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes in schoolwork, at work, or during other activities, such as overlooks or misses details and work is inaccurate. Number 2, often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activities. Number 3, often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. Mind seems elsewhere even in the absence of obvious distraction. 4, often does not follow through on instructions and fails to finish schoolwork, chores, or duties in the workplace. E.g., starts tasks but quickly loses focus and is easily sidetracked. 5, often has difficulty organizing tasks and activities, e.g., difficulty managing sequential tasks, difficulty keeping materials and belongings in order, messy, disorganized work, has poor time management, and fails to meet deadlines. 6, often avoids, dislikes, or is reluctant to engage in tasks that often requires sustained mental effort, e.g., schoolwork or homework for older adolescents and adults, preparing reports, completing forms, reviewing lengthy papers. 7, often loses things necessary for tasks or activities, e.g., school materials, pencils, books, tools, wallets, keys, paperwork, eyeglasses, and mobile telephones. Number 8, is often easily distracted by extraneous stimuli. For older adults and adolescents, this may include unrelated thoughts. 9, is often forgetful in daily activities, e.g., doing chores, running errands. For older adolescents and adults, returning calls, paying bills, and keeping appointments. When looking through this list of inattention, it's important to remember that the DSM-5 is written from the outside. The DSM captures external observations and behaviors and rarely captures internal experiences. The symptoms listed under the ADHD inattentive type are observed from the external observer and don't necessarily align with the internal experience. So some of the, if we were to look at the criteria for ADHD, I would have to meet 6 of those 9 criteria. So let me give you some examples of the ones that I struggle with. So often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks. So like, for example, if someone's giving me a really long lecture that's like over 15 minutes, or even like just any kind of long lecture, I'm going to start to lose focus. I'm going to start looking at, like, oh, look at that picture on the wall, or look at, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just start losing focus. And it's not something I'm doing on purpose. It's not that I'm doing it on purpose. It's just that's how my brain is wired. Um, does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. So that sometimes happens with me where like someone will talk to me and I'll just be like looking around, but I'm not like trying to not pay attention to them. It's more that I just lose focus on what they're saying. And sometimes I'll be like, can you repeat what you said? I'm sorry, I wasn't like focused on what you were saying. I just need you to repeat it. Or sometimes even like they'll say something and my brain doesn't process what they're saying, even though I'm trying to pay attention. Does not follow through on things like instructions. So like sometimes like I'll like start a task and then like get interrupted by something I'm distracted with, and then just like start doing that thing that I'm distracted with, and then I'll be like, oh, I forgot to finish what I was doing. Okay. Difficulty organizing tasks and activities, and like time management. Like I find myself often getting late to places because I just forget how much time it takes to do things. So there you go. Those are already like 4 things that I struggle with. We only need 2 more for me to be diagnosed, right? Often loses things necessary for activities. I found myself like, for example, looking for my phone and like not knowing where my phone is, or forgetting where my keys are, or forgetting where I put my password book, or things like that they're like very necessary that I just forget where they are because I wasn't paying attention. So that's the 5th thing. Let's see, is often distracted by extraneous stimuli, like such as unrelated thoughts. So like sometimes I'll be conversing with someone and they're like, oh, like they'll talk about, I don't know what their favorite color is, and then like my brain will go to, oh, like I like the color of the leaves and it's fall, and let's look at like all of the different all the different leaves outside, and like, you know, like I'll just like jump from one topic to the next. Sometimes it'll be even completely unrelated, and it's because I'm distracted by extraneous stimuli, basically like things that are completely unrelated to the thing that's in front of me. So yeah, that's basically ADHD in a nutshell. I met 6 of those 9 requirements. If you get at least 6, you're considered someone who has ADHD. And don't diagnose yourself. Make sure that a mental health professional is being asked to diagnose you if you ever feel the need to diagnose. But I definitely do not recommend doing it yourself. You need a professional to do this, okay? If you are being diagnosed with something. So that's ADHD inattentive. Now let's look at schizoaffective disorder. I really like how well they explained this and they made it really clear. So with schizoaffective disorder, it requires meeting criteria for both mood episodes and schizophrenia. For bipolar type, you need to meet criteria for both bipolar and schizophrenia. So the psychotic symptoms need to persist for at least 2 weeks in the absence of prominent mood symptoms. So that's the key difference between schizoaffective disorder and bipolar disorder with psychosis. Is with bipolar disorder with psychosis, the bipolar episodes happen simultaneously with a psychosis, whereas with schizoaffective disorder, there needs to be psychotic symptoms for at least 2 weeks without the mood symptoms. So let's go through the diagnostic criteria for schizoaffective disorder, okay? And for me, it's bipolar type, okay? So I have schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. And this has to just have to have happened during your lifetime. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily experiencing these things right now, but it has to have happened in the past or at some point in your life. So primary requirements. So this is part A of the diagnostic criteria. So you need an uninterrupted period of illness during which there is a major mood episode, either major depressive or manic, concurrent with criterion A of schizophrenia. So you need to have an uninterrupted period of illness that includes the episode plus the psychotic features of schizophrenia combined together at the same time. Then there needs to be delusions or hallucinations must be present for at least 2 weeks in the absence of a major mood episode during the lifetime duration of the illness. So there needs to be a moment where you're experiencing the mood symptoms plus the psychosis and the schizophrenia symptoms. And then there needs to be a period of time where you're just experiencing the delusions and hallucinations without the mood symptoms. So you have a moment so you have those hallucinations and delusions with the mood symptoms, and then you have the hallucinations and delusions without the mood symptoms. The symptoms that meet the criteria for a major mood episode must be present for the majority of the total duration of the active and residual portions of the illness. So for example, there needs to be a long period of time where you experience, if it's bipolar type, you would experience mania, where you have heightened mood, your rapid speech, you're very, like you feel like you don't need to sleep because you're feeling so great, you're feeling on top of the world, you're having maybe grandiose thinking. And then the depressive part is when you're constantly down, you're having maybe really low and depressed mood where you're feeling constantly either absence of feeling or constantly feeling down and sad, where it's to the point that either you feel emotionally numb or you feel completely just shut off, like your brain is just shut off. And another way of describing a depressive episode is also like when you're having constant like thoughts of wanting to hurt yourself or constant thoughts of wanting to die before it's your time, you know? So, and all of these things are things I've experienced that I just mentioned, So exclusion criteria. So this is part B. The disturbance is not attributable to the effects of a substance such as drug abuse or medication or another medical condition. So all the things that I experienced that I just described did not happen due to some sort of drug or medication that I was taking. And the symptoms are not better explained by another mental disorder. So there's subtypes for schizoaffective disorder. There's bipolar type, where the disturbance includes a manic episode and may also include major depressive episodes. And then there's the depressive type, where the disturbance only includes major depressive episodes. And then let's look at key diagnostic features and changes in the DSM-5-TR. So, lifetime perspective. The DSM-5-TR shifted from an episode-based diagnosis to a life course illness assessment. All that means is basically it's something that you have your entire life and it's not something that just goes away. Temporal relationships. So mood symptoms must be present for the majority of the total illness duration. So I have to have mood symptoms for the majority of the time, even though there's those 2 weeks that I experienced psychosis and hallucinations without the mood symptoms. There's also the majority of the time, let's say it's like a month or 2 months or 3 months where I experience the mood symptoms. Okay? Psychotic symptoms must persist for at least 2 weeks in the absence of prominent mood symptoms, as I just said. So the mood symptoms need to occur the majority of the time, except for there's this short period of time where the psychotic symptoms happen just by themselves. Differential diagnosis. If the psychotic symptoms occur exclusively during the mood episodes, then that's considered a mood disorder with psychotic features, which is different from schizoaffective disorder. However, if the psychotic symptoms persist outside mood episodes for at least 2 weeks, you would be diagnosed as having schizoaffective disorder. Okay, so that's the key differential, is with schizoaffective disorder, you experience psychotic symptoms with mood symptoms, and then you experience psychotic symptoms without mood symptoms. And the mood symptoms need to be present for the majority of the episode. Clinical implications. The diagnostic reliability of schizoaffective disorder has historically been poor. The DSM-5 TR criteria aim to improve reliability by providing more specific requirements, and the diagnosis requires careful longitudinal assessment to accurately determine the relationship between psychotic and mood symptoms over time. So the reason that my psychiatric nurse practitioner, we originally thought that I had schizophrenia, but she actually found that schizoaffective disorder actually explains better some of my symptoms. Like, for example, the sleeplessness that I would experience right before a psychotic episode, that's actually mania, because the mania is resulting in the lack of sleep and the feeling like I don't need to sleep, and I'm feeling on top of the world, and I'm feeling great, and I'm like constantly talking, and like I'm constantly like my brain is constantly stimulated the whole time. That is mania. And then so she was thinking about the mania part and the sleeplessness and insomnia, but then she was also thinking about the depressive part, which I would experience after being so like basically what happened was, this was years ago. I was eventually tapered off of medication with the help of my providers, and for a good 7 months I was doing all right. And then towards the end of that, I was like, oh, I don't need a therapist and a psychiatrist. I'm doing so well. I feel great. And I stopped taking my supplements. And then that resulted in me going into a manic episode where I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like I was invincible. I felt like I could go days without sleeping. I felt like I had all this energy. And I felt the best that I had felt in a really long time. That's mania for you, right? And then I ended up being, having a psychotic episode after that, which did not include the mood symptoms of mania, where I was just specifically experiencing hallucinations and delusions. And I had really bad delusions, and I had even a panic attack, which was not fun. And then I was eventually brought to the psychiatric hospital, the mental hospital, and I was put on medication again. And as soon as I was put on medication again, that's when my depressive symptoms came in, where I started feeling like I didn't want to live, and like I was hopeless. I felt like there was no future for me. I felt I was constantly crying all the time. Like I just could not stop crying. And I was just not okay. I was very upset that I was put on medication again. I didn't want to be on medication, and that's what was leading to me feeling like I didn't want to live anymore. And so it took me a good couple years to rewire my brain to stop thinking so self-destructive, to stop thinking about hurting myself, to stop thinking about wanting to die before it is my time. So it took me a good 2 years or a year and a half to get out of that depressive state. And so that's why probably Stephanie was like, you actually probably have schizoaffective disorder, because you are experiencing symptoms of both mania and depression, as well as those psychotic features. And you are also experiencing the psychosis without those mood episodes. So I was experiencing the psychosis with the mood disturbances, as well as psychosis without the mood disturbances. So that's why she found that that seems to fit me the best. Thank you all so much for listening to this video. I know it was a lot to listen to. I just wanted to open up about my mental health and what I've been through. I've been in and out of the hospital 6 times, but it's been more than 3 years now that I haven't been to the hospital, which I'm very proud of myself for that. And I hope that trend continues to be the case. I hope that I am able to stay well and take care of my mental health so that it doesn't get out of control. I also think it's very important that we start talking more about our mental health in order to lower the stigma. And I think it's important for people to start really opening their eyes and realizing that none of us are perfect. We all have things that we go through, and that's what makes us human. And I found even like a lot of the things that I've experienced in my life has led me to become more empathetic towards other people, because like when someone's going through something, I feel empathy for them because I understand what it's like to go through a difficult time or a rough patch. So having empathy for people who go through difficult things is very important. I even have like coworkers that have ADHD, and I'm just like, you know what? I feel for you. I go through the same kind of stuff too, and I just am there to support them. I'm here to support you through whatever you're going through, and I want you to know that if you're going through a period of time where you feel like you really don't want to live, I want you to know that life is worth living and you can get yourself out of that space. There will be a moment in time where you will no longer be thinking about hurting yourself. And so I just wanted to, you know, bring that to light because I want people to know there is hope. There is a way to get better, and I know you can do it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Peace out, much love, and may you all be free. Mwah.